Sam Zell's story doesn't start with money, connections, or an easy ride. It starts with survival. It's 1939, and the world is on fire. Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union have just agreed to carve up Poland, and in the middle of it all is Bernard Zell, a Jewish businessman who understands what this means: get out now or risk everything. He doesn't hesitate. He and his pregnant wife board the last train out before the Nazis bomb the tracks. A few days later, and they might have never made it out alive. They arrive in the US nearly penniless, but Bernard isn't the type to sit around feeling sorry for himself. He works day and night, building a successful jewelry business from the ground up. By the time Sam is 12, the Zells have moved to Highland Park, Illinois, an upper-middle-class neighborhood, the kind of place where families throw garden parties and kids get groomed for Ivy League schools. Sam Zell doesn't fit the mold. He's got a sharp mind, but school bores him. His siblings bring home perfect report cards, but Sam couldn't care less about grades. He cares about making money. And he finds his first big opportunity in the least likely place, inside the pages of a Playboy magazine. Back in the 50s, Playboy isn't something you pick up at the local drugstore in the suburbs. If you want it, you've got to go into the city. One day, Sam gets his hands on a copy, shows it to a friend, and the reaction is instant. The guy is obsessed. How much, he asks. Sam doesn't even think before he says, $3. $3 for a magazine that cost him 50 cents. And he got to read it first. That's when it hits him: supply and demand. His suburban classmates want Playboy, but they can't get it. He can. And if he controls the supply, he controls the price. He starts making regular trips into the city, smuggling back stacks of magazines, and selling them at a massive markup. Just like that, he's running his first profitable business. His parents aren't thrilled. They have big dreams for him, but they don't involve hustling magazines. Bernard Zell built his fortune through discipline and hard work, and he expects his son to do the same, through academics, through a respectable career, through the traditional path. But Sam isn't built for tradition. He doesn't care about school. He cares about opportunity. When he goes to the University of Michigan, nothing changes. He's still an average student, still disinterested in following the rules. But then, he notices something. A real estate developer is building a 15-unit apartment complex near campus. To most students, it's just another building. To Sam, it's an opportunity. He walks straight up to the owner and offers to manage the place. The guy must think he's crazy. Here's this college kid, with zero experience, claiming he can manage a property better than a professional. But Sam knows something the developer doesn't: he is the customer. He knows what students want. They don't want apartments that feel like their parents' house. They want something fun, something cool, something that feels independent. He convinces the owner to give him a shot. Sam takes out the boring old furniture, brings in sleek Scandinavian designs, and modernizes the space. The apartments fill up instantly. It works so well that the landlord hands him more buildings to manage. By the time Sam graduates, he's not just making pocket change, he's pulling in more money than some of his professors. But here's the thing: he realizes managing properties won't make him rich. Owning them will. He goes to law school, not because he wants to be a lawyer, but because he sees it as an insurance policy. If real estate doesn't work out, at least he has a degree to fall back on. His father approves. Finally, Sam is doing something respectable. But Sam doesn't care about law. He cares about freedom. And freedom, to him, means financial independence. During law school, he saves enough money to buy his first apartment building, 3 units, $19,500. He uses his student housing strategy again, remodeling the place to make it more appealing. It works. He doubles the rent, and within months, the cash flow from that one property is enough for a down payment on another. By the time he finishes law school, he owns multiple apartment buildings and has $250,000 in the bank. To put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of over $1 million today. But still, he sticks to the plan. He gets a law degree, applies for jobs, and expects that his impressive real estate experience will set him apart. It doesn't. He interviews at 44 law firms and gets rejected by 43. He's in the top quarter of his class, so the math doesn't add up. Then, in his final interview, the hiring manager levels with him. "We would never hire you," he says. "You'll be here for 3 months and then leave to go into real estate." Sam realizes the guy is right. He doesn't want to be a lawyer. He wants to be rich. So after 4 days at a law firm, he quits. That's when he makes the most important decision of his life. He's not just going to play around in real estate, he's going to dominate it. But there's one problem. Managing student apartments is a great side hustle, but it's not enough to build an empire. If he's going to scale, he needs capital. A lot of it. He goes to wealthy investors, his father, family friends, business connections, and pitches them on a new idea. College towns are growing. Demand for student housing is exploding. If they give him the money, he'll find undervalued properties, fix them up, and turn them into cash machines. They bite. With fresh capital in hand, Sam starts moving fast. He buys a 99-unit apartment complex next to the University of Toledo. It's $1 million investment, but he's calculated the risk. Even in the worst-case scenario, it'll make an 8% return. In the best case, 19%. He goes all in. He renovates the apartments, raises rents, and just like before, the units fill up instantly. The investors are blown away. They double down, writing him even bigger checks. By 1971, at just 30 years old, Sam Zell is a millionaire. But he's not satisfied. Owning student housing is just the beginning. He starts looking at commercial real estate, office buildings, and distressed properties. He sees opportunities where others see problems. And then, he makes his boldest move yet. The real estate market is on fire. Everyone is buying. Prices are skyrocketing. But something feels off to Sam. He starts to wonder, what if this is all a bubble? The more he looks at the numbers, the more convinced he becomes. So while the rest of the market keeps piling in, Sam does the unthinkable. He stops buying. People think he's lost his mind. The market is booming, why would anyone stop? But Sam doesn't care about what people think. He only cares about one thing, being right. And he's about to prove everyone wrong. Sam Zell never wanted to be a lawyer. He knew it, the law firms knew it, and within 4 days of landing a job, he confirmed it. His resume screamed real estate, his bank account was already stacked, and yet, out of some misplaced sense of obligation to his father, he had spent years chasing a degree he'd never use. The moment he walked out of that law office for the last time, he made a decision: no more safety nets, no more backup plans. He was all in on real estate. The problem was, playing small wasn't an option anymore. Managing student housing had been a great side hustle, but Sam wasn't in this for pocket change, he wanted to build something massive. That meant stepping up to the big leagues. It also meant a lesson he was about to learn the hard way: playing with your own money is cute, but the real game is played with other people's money. So he started raising capital. Not just a little, millions. He went straight to the people who had money to invest: doctors, lawyers, business owners, people who wanted in on real estate but didn't have the time or the expertise to do it themselves. Sam had both. He pitched them on a strategy that sounded simple but was pure gold: buy properties in smaller cities where universities were growing fast, renovate them, raise rents, and watch the cash flow pour in. It worked. But if there's one thing about Sam Zell, it's that he doesn't stop at success, he doubles down. He realized something most people didn't: scale is everything. The more properties you own, the easier it becomes to buy even more. Banks start trusting you. Investors start chasing you. The machine feeds itself. He kept going. He bought Broadway Plaza in Los Angeles, a massive $10 million deal. He raised even more money, found better deals, and kept stacking wins. He didn't just want to play the real estate game, he wanted to own the board. But there was a problem. By the mid-1970s, real estate wasn't a secret anymore. Everyone was piling in. Prices were skyrocketing, and properties were getting overbuilt. The market looked unstoppable. That's when Sam made his second unthinkable move. He stopped buying. People thought he was insane. Occupancy rates were still high. Businesses were still hiring. The economy was still booming. But Sam didn't care about how things looked, he cared about what was coming next. And what he saw was a market that was way too hot. So while everyone else kept throwing money into real estate, Sam stepped back. He watched. He waited. And when the crash came, he did what only the smartest investors do: he pounced. Between 1974 and 1977, as property values collapsed, Sam started buying again. Only this time, he wasn't just buying buildings. He was buying entire portfolios of distressed properties. He structured deals so that he could take over buildings with as little as $1 down. He negotiated with banks, picked up properties for pennies on the dollar, and flipped real estate when no one else had the guts to touch it. By the time the economy recovered, Sam wasn't just rich, he was a real estate powerhouse. And yet, he was still thinking bigger. If he could turn around distressed properties, what else could he fix? What about entire companies? He was about to find out. By the late 1970s, Sam Zell had mastered the art of buying distressed real estate. While other investors were drowning in debt and foreclosures, he was cutting deals that defied logic, taking over entire properties with little to no money down. He wasn't just making millions, he was rewriting the rules of the game.